Hey everyone, this is Dr. Casey Johnson. Thank you so much for taking time to listen to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I know you're going to love today's episode with Laurie Denomme. Laurie is doing some amazing work, so I'm excited to have her on to share her story with you guys. If you've been loving the Unlock Wellness podcast, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Also, be sure to follow me on social media to keep up with the latest podcast episodes. The best way to connect with me is on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My username across the board is at Dr. Casey Johnson. That's DrKaseyJohnson. You can also check out my website at drkaseyjohnson.com. It has all of the past podcast episodes and more information about each guest under the Listen tab. While you're on my site, be sure to check out the Shop tab where you can check out my first book of my Healthy Children's Book series and learn about the Unlock Wellness Project, which supplies a wellness bag to a child in need for each book purchased. Thank you again for listening. I hope this episode leaves you feeling inspired to start making positive changes to your health. Now it's time for today's episode. I hope you love my conversation with Laurie Denomme. Welcome to the Unlock Wellness podcast. I'm Dr. Casey and excited for today's guest. I'm here with Laurie Denomme. And big shout out to past podcast guest Laurie Sherlock for connecting us. She's amazing. So be sure to go back and check out her episode as well. But Laurie is an international fitness educator with 25 years experience in aquatics. And she's also founder of WeCoach, which is a unique water and land exercise program. But she's doing a lot of amazing work, so I'm excited to have her on to share her story and everything that she's been working on. So, Laurie, thank you so much for taking time to come on. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you, Casey. This is a really neat opportunity for me, so thanks for having me on board.
Yeah, and again, big shout out to Laurie Sherlock. She's really great. How did you meet Laurie?
Laurie and I first connected through the Aquatic Exercise Association. So that's a organization in the United States that's really the leader in certification and aquatic education for aquatic fitness professionals. And Laurie and I were both trainers for AEA, and so we met at conventions that we were both presenting and attending at.
That's really cool. Yeah, no, I remember like the AEA material, we were talking before, I had the specialty classes through West Virginia University in aquatic therapy as well. So I remember seeing all of the AEA stuff and like the resources and materials that they would have, and they were all so great.
Yeah, they certainly are. They give people really the foundational knowledge that you need as an aquatic fitness professional, and it's all science-based. So there is a lot of great material there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I want to dive into the aquatic therapy part of it more. But before we do that, Laurie, I want to hear more about your backstory. First off, where you're from, and I guess what's your fitness journey? Like, how did it start? Like, were you always into fitness, and how did it evolve over time?
Well, I'm Canadian. I actually grew up in Waterloo, Ontario. And from an early age, my sister and I both were really exposed to a lot of different activities. We did everything, that kids really could do, from gymnastics to figure skating and, of course, swimming. And I don't think I really appreciated the variability of those different activities that our parents had us enrolled in until now. And just having that exposure to all the different types of activity on the body and how beneficial that really is to long-term wellness. But something was always something that we did that was, everywhere, anywhere, any chance we had. We, growing up as kids in our community pool, we were known as the water babies. And to really any family vacation that we were on, we're probably like most kids where, our parents couldn't get us out of the water. So I guess you could say my path to water exercise began really as a young child, but also my first job really exposed me to what I currently do today. So my first job being a lifeguard, one of the first things I was asked to do was to teach deep water exercise class. And at 17 years old, I didn't know what this looked like, didn't know much about it. So I guess that's kind of where I got my first hook. I really enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed teaching it, but I felt like I wasn't really equipped to do what I was doing well. So I enrolled myself in a couple of workshops, and that's really where I became more excited about aquatic exercise in general, and really started to learn more about what really was best in trying to get the most out of your workout. So at the time, now this was, I guess, in the mid-90s, a water workout looked like arms out of the water, arms
right.
punching overhead, and using milk jugs for flotation. So that's
all of like those cliche, like older people in the pool pictures, probably.
exactly. That's what we fight against, really, that stigma of what water exercise looks like. And so I went and took my certification. So I did that when I was 20, and I just loved it so much. And coming back from that, I was so excited. I felt so much more equipped to share really a better water exercise experience. So now, something more along what you should see today. And, that's using the water, getting the arms under the water, moving against the resistance, and no more milk jugs. But when I got back to my class and I was teaching all these great things, the response was not really what I expected. In fact, I actually got certified with a friend of mine at the time. Our classes were not very well responded to. People didn't like the change. So we kind of persevered, and after a few weeks, things started to change. People started to really start to feel the difference and feel that their arms weren't sore after the workouts. They were actually, feel like they were getting stronger and getting a great workout. So that was really my first step into my journey of teaching water exercise and getting into something that, became a real career for me. At this time, when I just got certified, I was currently enrolled in graphic design in college. And, this passion for water exercise was growing. And I met another student in the gym and talked to him a little bit about what they were doing. And they were in the athletic trainer program. I wanted to know more about it. I wanted to get into it. And so that's when I found myself enrolled the following year in the kinesiology program at McMaster University. And this is where, water exercise continued to grow in my mix. Got exposed to aquatic therapy, working with stroke patients in the water there. Continued on with my group exercise classes at the city of Waterloo, where I, was employed for a long time. And also just teaching the swim practicum within the kinesiology program, within the program that I began there. So that was really the backdrop to my entry into water exercise.
Yeah, no, that's really amazing. And I mean, like you're talking about how making it like a lot more difficult and a little bit more intense by, having your arms in the water. Like there's so much like things that you can do, and like having that extra resistance, but at the same time having the weight off of your joints. Like it just makes it a pretty unique experience, because basically anybody can get into the pool and do a workout. And it could be somebody, like you were saying, that might be a stroke patient, or somebody that really can't walk very well if they're just on land. So it makes it really interesting, because so many people can do it, and it can just be customized to whatever they're going through. I mean, whether it's somebody that's 99, or I know through like the internship I had at WVU, we had kids that had very serious autoimmune issues that movement was difficult. So it's cool to be able to see that diversity.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And kind of to your point about it's for all ages, Laurie Sherlock actually has coined the term that water exercise is the great equalizer.
Yeah.
And I just love that, because I can have students in my class that are in their 60s, 70s with their daughter or granddaughter, in the pool beside them, endurance athletes, and they are experiencing water exercise for the very first time. and they look over to their mom or grandmother and kind of, whisper, I didn't think it was going to be this hard. And so that's super exciting to be able to challenge people of really all ages and all fitness levels in one single class.
Yeah, because I mean, you can make it super intense. Like, I mean, even if you're like just super advanced and you're like maybe thinking, oh, that won't be hard enough. Like, if it's not hard enough for you, you're not doing the right things, because it can definitely be hard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and like as you started to really dive into the whole field, Laurie, like what was maybe something that you learned right away that you didn't know, like kind of in those beginning stages, like what was a big takeaway that you had when you were starting to learn, just diving into this whole world of aquatics?
I think one of the things that I personally felt myself early on was this just natural instinctiveness to move the body in all the different ways possible. And, you have the fact that you have this buoyancy, supported movement, yet you have a resistance in any direction you move, whether it's up, down, right, left, you're turning within the water, you can always work. And so I think my programming for myself, and then what turned into programming for my students, really honed in on this fact, and through moving in 3 dimensions and just taking advantage of that resistance everywhere, it was natural to me from the very early stages. I want to tell you a little bit about something too that, it was very natural for me to move this way, but it wasn't really until 2011 that I really understood the value of this. And I guess I didn't really have the knowledge to really explain this. And that's when in 2011, it was kind of a time in my career that I was feeling kind of flat as an instructor, and my passion just needed something to kind of fuel me on and give me that, passion back again. And that's when I met the Gray Institute, and they're an organization, they're in Michigan, and they really teach you a thought process of learning. And so they teach you an understanding of the sciences. So they use the science to help you to develop your strategies for teaching and really be able to describe why you're doing exercise. And so that journey for me was really life-changing, because I felt like I really became able to explain why I do what I do. And it gave really validity to what I felt early on, but I didn't really understand and appreciate how powerful that could be. And so what's something that I felt really early on has actually become the kind of the one message that I want to teach anybody that comes through any program that I do. And it's a very simplified version, but it's that the body needs to move in all 6 directions. So I describe 6 directions as moving forward, back, right, left, and right and left rotation. So we can really take any exercise we do, any traditional exercise, and move it through those 6 directions. And what you're going to find is that you can enhance the results of anything you're already doing by applying that concept.
No, that's super interesting. I mean, just hitting all of those fields. And you kind of touched on, just when you were saying that your biggest takeaway was movement, and obviously that led to you applying that. Like, so it's pretty interesting when you just think about just movement in general, and just how it affects not only somebody physically, but also like mentally as well. I mean, you have somebody coming in that might be 90 and they're applying more movement to their life. That's going to affect like their mental process, and that can literally take somebody from a state of depression to a state that is happier and that wants to thrive and wants to get better. And is that something that you came across as you started to apply all of that?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. It's, we're really fortunate as water exercise instructors, because when people step into the pool, they just feel good. So it's one of those environments that it's a happy place for people. especially if they are experiencing those aches and pains on a daily basis. It's an environment that they step into. They have the water supporting them, so their pain is already just diminished, and they feel more free to move. They feel more stable. So it really creates an environment that allows the body to be successful in its movement. And then I think as water exercise instructors, it's really our job to foster that environment of success and to think not only of the physical, but like you mentioned, the mental. And we want to create an environment that appreciates the individualization of every person that comes through our class. And so we need to know how to accommodate for that. We need to know how to give instructions in different ways, because what resonates with one person doesn't resonate with the next. So
right.
You cue your exercises a couple different ways. You need to use words that are just motivating and encouraging people to really tap into what they can do, because I think oftentimes people that come into the water that maybe are less fit, they don't know how hard they can push themselves. And it's really when we get into that range where we just push ourselves right along that line, that border that allows change to happen. We need to get our students there. So it's a real, constant dance between the physical and the mental, and cueing and encouraging that to really facilitate positive change in both aspects.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's very well said, and I 100% agree with you. And not to mention, like, I feel like if somebody's in a pool, it kind of makes you feel, because most people associate like pools, like you're a kid, you're having fun in a pool. I think it kind of gives that kind of vibe as well whenever you get in the water too.
It really does. It's such a playful environment, and that's something too, as instructors, we need to take advantage of. We can have fun and still work hard and get great results, because after all, if we're not having fun, if exercise is not enjoyable, the tendency to come back week to week is going to be less. And so we want to take advantage of that unique aspect of the environment, is that playfulness.
Definitely. And, Laurie, you did decide to start a company called WeCoach. So what made you want to start a company in the first place? And like what decisions kind of led you to that decision?
That's, I think there's so much that goes into WeCoach. I moved down to Florida in 2002, and this was really an opportunity that the Aquatic Exercise Association gave me. It was a chance to take my passion and make it a full-time reality. And so I worked at AEA Corporate for 10 years. And during this time, I got to work alongside and learn from really industry pioneers, Angie Proctor, Julie C. Rusova, lots of people in the industry that just, have paved the way to make aquatic fitness what it is today. And within that role, I was involved in many different things in my job, but where my heart really was being an educator. And I love to learn. I love to look for new ways to exercise in better ways. But what I enjoy most is really sharing what I learn. And so that's where I decided, it was something that I wanted to do, was to have my own company as an education company. And with WeCoach, it evolved really when I was enrolled in the Gray Institute. Taking my knowledge there, I wanted to bring something maybe a little bit different to the aquatic industry. And I wanted to tap into my experiences as an instructor, being on the inside with AEA, and also just some of the people I'd met through the Gray Institute. So one of the things I found with my water exercise students is that quite a number of them were people that never exercised on land. In fact, they would say, I can't exercise on land. And I really didn't like that they felt they couldn't exercise on land. I felt that they just were not exposed to the type of movement that would allow them to be successful doing exercise on land. So the goal of WeCoach, which is water exercise coach, is to be a combined land and water exercise company. So we do provide primarily water exercise education and resources, but also showing ways that people can transition onto land and have that same successful feeling that they do in the pool on land. So I teamed up with Jean Marie Scordino. She was one of my mentors at the Gray Institute, and Laurie Sherlock. We kind of paired up some of our loves, and we created a program called Hi-Yo. And Hi-Yo brings together, Laurie's an endurance athlete and really understands the intricacies of performing and at that level. So she's the high intensity part of Hi-Yo, and my passion being movement and yoga, tapping into that yoga side. Hi-Yo is a high intensity interval training program that takes specific advantage of the principles of water and is high intensity training with yoga recovery. So those are two of the main, I guess, exercise concepts that I teach through WeCoach, the land movement programs that are easy to do. They really help the body move better on land, but they have that kind of water-like feel. Mm-hmm. And pairing up with Hi-Yo and some other programming that we have, just giving that complete program, land and water, to allow people the opportunity to exercise no matter where they are, because sometimes we don't have access to a pool. So if we can have simple ways that we can exercise on land, then we can always find ways to bring movement into our day.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And I mean, I'm a big fan of high intensity interval training. I mean, it's just, the benefits they can have overall. I mean, obviously you're having, they can have a very, very big increase on metabolism and obviously like hormone balance and things like that. And there's just so many benefits that you get whenever you do that type of high intensity work. And I think having that kind of yoga mix in is so smart, just because you're allowing your body to have that recovery and prepare you to do the next workout. So I think that's just an amazing combination.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I think the great thing about taking it to the pool is that it makes it accessible for all ages and all fitness levels, just kind of going back to those reasons we were talking about earlier. So it makes it probably one of the favorite workouts that I do with my students.
That's cool. And most of your students, are they around college age, or do you have like a certain age that you tend to have at your classes?
Yeah. So, Laurie Sherlock and I would be probably on opposite ends of the scale as to who's participating in our programs. Laurie being based at West Virginia University and having that strong college base. I'm located in Sarasota, Florida, and I work in home associations. And so, communities have pools right within their association. And so the clientele that I typically see are anywhere from 50 to 80, and that those individuals can be all in one group.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you guys really have all ages covered then.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So what are you guys doing with the program as a whole right now? Are you guys like trying to expand in different ways? Or are you just kind of targeting different locations, or how do you see it just growing in the future?
So one of the things I really found that, was tricky is that through WeCoach, I am constantly training instructors as my primary business. And so, I'm already working with people that are fully committed to water exercise. They're passionate about it. They want to know more. And in order to really help more people learn more about the great benefits of water, I'm actually working on a new movement right now, and it's called Wavemakers. And so Wavemakers is a little bit different than WeCoach because it's more of a movement. It's not a workout program. but rather it's a movement that connects instructors and participants to water exercise resources and each other. So this movement is targeting the consumer as well as the professional. And so to do this, I've teamed up with other fitness professionals, so Laurie Sherlock being one of them, and also some other educators internationally. And we're partnered up with a swimsuit company called Swim and Sweat, who really believes in wellness in any age and connecting the community to better ways to exercise. So within all of these people working together, we are working at learning and growing and sharing really the know-how of water exercise with the world. So instructors and community, just really trying to reach out to everyone and just let them know about the benefits they can experience and really try to work to eliminate that stigma that water exercise is not a real workout.
Right. No, I love that. I love just having that kind of community that does involve the instructors and the people actually doing the exercise, because then everybody can kind of grow together, and then obviously they have the support they need from the instructors if needed. So I think that type of community is really important.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it because I feel like if we can create students that have more knowledge, and we're going to really do a better job as in our role as aquatic fitness professionals. So in the end, if we can teach more people how to exercise safely, whether people are working out on their own in their backyard pool, whether they're going to a community center like a YMCA, or a local fitness center, wherever they're doing water exercise, we just want to be able to give them the resources to move in ways that are safe and that are going to really get results from, because, who wants to spend all the time to put on a bathing suit and not get results?
Right.
So we want to just help educate people and help them get on a fast track to meaningful fitness results.
No, I love that. And as far as Wavemakers, is it completely up and running or just kind of in the works right now?
It is just in the works.
Okay.
We will be officially launching in 2019. We are just starting to get some materials out through our own network. So, at this moment, if anybody's interested in learning more about Wavemakers, they can learn through waterexercisecoach.com. That's my WeCoach business. As well as you'll start to see all the other members that are part of this community. They'll be sharing information through their networks until we get it officially launched.
Awesome. No, I love that. And I'll definitely keep people posted on my end as well as you start to get that rolling. And obviously you have your hands full with WeCoach and Wavemakers, but is there anything else that you're working on in the future that you just want to put out there and share, or things for people to keep an eye out for, or just continue to work on those and just continue to make more content for instructors and people doing the exercise?
Those two things, like you said, they have me full-time thinking on those things. But, it's my mission to just share with people better ways to exercise. So, if something comes along that helps me to do that, then you'll see me kind of lead into that way. But I think, that between WeCoach and Wavemakers, we really are going to be able to hit anybody and everybody that can benefit from participation in water exercise.
Yeah, no, 100%. I love that. And yeah, so, Laurie, what's the best way for people to follow you on social media? That way they can keep up with everything that you're working on. I know that you just mentioned your website, but go ahead and mention that again too, so they have it all in one place.
All right. So my website is waterexercisecoach.com. And you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. You're going to find me there at We Are Wavemakers. You can also find some videos if you're interested in just catching a few exercise tips on my YouTube channel. And that's best found through searching up my name, Laurie Denomme. And you'll find some videos that you can access there.
Perfect. Yeah, no, I'll put all of those links in the show notes. That way people can just go click and give you an ad. And yeah, so Laurie, just a closing question that I ask every guest. But if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, maybe it's something that's been your biggest takeaway through your whole wellness journey and discovering aquatics and everything that you're working on. But if you just had one piece of advice for the audience, what would it be?
I think I have to go back to my mission to teach everybody to move the body in more directions. So to do that, if you can take any exercise that you do and move it in 6 directions, you will be pleasantly surprised at the power of that one simple addition to your workouts.
Awesome. I love it, Laurie. And I love all of the work you're doing. And I'm excited for you to get Wavemakers up and running so I can share it with people. I know it's going to be amazing. And just thank you so much for taking time to come on. I loved having you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you loved my conversation with Laurie. She's doing so much positive work, so be sure to give her a follow on social media to keep up with everything that she's been working on. You can find her social media links that we talked about in the episode in the show notes, but you can also find them on my website as well at drkcjohnson.com. That's drkaseyjohnson.com. Click on the Listen tab. Then from there, you'll be able to see all of the past guests that have come on the Unlock Wellness podcast, read a little bit about each guest, and be able to click on their social media links, websites, all of that. So all of Laurie's information can be found on my site as well. If you guys loved today's episode with Laurie, be sure to jump onto iTunes, subscribe, and write a review. It really helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate all of the feedback and support. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in to today's episode. I hope you loved it. I hope it inspires you. And most importantly, I hope you take action.